So you've probably heard the detached home market across Metro Vancouver has been cooling off. Prices have been coming down. The price index dropped about 89,000 from last September. The question is, are Tri-Cities detached homes any different? I've got some good news and some bad news. Hey, George Chan here. I share these market updates every month to help locals stay in tune with what's really happening. If you live in the area, hit subscribe and stay in the loop. So I've got good news for buyers and bad news for sellers because detached home prices dropped across Tri-Cities in September. Well, someone's loss is someone else's gain, right? Port Moody saw the biggest drop, down about 136,000 from last year. Coquitlam was down around 110,000 and Port Coquitlam slipped about 57,000. Benchmark prices now sit at 2.08 million in Port Moody, 1.72 million in Coquitlam, and 1.36 mil in Port Coquitlam. So prices have rolled back to early 2024 for Port Moody and early 2023 levels for Coquitlam and Port Coquitlam. Homes sold below asking between 96.4% in Port Coquitlam and 95.6% in Port Moody. That's about 3.6 to 4.4% off asking. This is similar to last year when sellers gave up around 2.7% to 4%. So if you bought a detached home last month for 1.7 million and negotiated 3.7% off, you would save roughly around $65,000. That's Tesla Model 3 money, or enough to fully renovate your kitchen and your bathroom. Detached home sales reached 52 in Coquitlam, 15 in Port Moody, and 7 in Port Coquitlam. Compared to last year, sales are down in Port Coquitlam, but up in Coquitlam and Port Moody. Active listings ended September at 527 in Coquitlam, 126 in Port Moody, and 190 in Port Coquitlam. That's all up from last year. So how active is the detached market right now? The sales to active listings ratio, or absorption rate, sits between 3.7% in Port Coquitlam and 11.9% in Port Moody. That means out of 100 listings, roughly 4 homes sold in Port Coquitlam, 10 sold in Coquitlam, and 12 sold in Port Moody. That's in the buyer's market. We're also seeing some of the lowest ratios in years. The last time Coquitlam's ratio dropped to around 9.9% was way back in early 2019. And get this, Port Coquitlam's 3.7%, you have to go all the way back to summer 2008. That's when the global financial crisis and the US banking meltdown hit to get numbers that low. But Port Moody's not doing as bad. It was deep in buyer's market back in July, but has climbed up since, now sitting around 11.9%, right at the edge between buyers and balanced market. So we're in the fall market heading into the winter months, and that usually means things slow down. Fewer sales, fewer new listings, and more sellers pulling their homes off the market. Prices tend to soften and become more negotiable this time of year. Activity typically picks up again in the new year, and we saw that this February when detached prices made a quick jump before cooling off again in the summer. Most people buying a detached home are either upsizing from a townhome or moving up from a smaller detached home. There is still some downward pressure on prices, but keep this in mind. Fewer active listings mean fewer choices going into winter. And if you are selling, competition is tougher than ever in Coquitlam and Port Coquitlam. Standing out to buyers mean pricing it right and showing well, because the buyer pool will keep getting smaller. I hope this helped you make sense of what's happening in the detached home market. If you'd like to see what your detached home is worth or get advice on your next move, reach out to me anytime. My contact detail is in the description below. And if you found this helpful, like, subscribe, and share this video with someone following the Tri-Cities market. George Chan here. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.